to an end, as we hear in this report from Army Sergeant Kelly Rowe.
Before the European drawdown announcement came in 1990, between 150 to 220 babies were being delivered at the hospital each month. And since the mid-40s, when it opened, approximately 100,000 babies have come into the world here. But it all came to an end Friday, May 13th at 8:55 p.m. when Carolyn Gorman gave birth to 7-pound, 6-ounce Caitlin.
Been around so long, they've delivered so many other children, and just that she'll be a little part of history, I guess, being the last baby ever born here. Kind of nice because I worked here too. It'll be nice to tell her that I worked here and you're the last baby born here.
Been up and around? Mm-hmm. Eating okay?
Eating okay, yeah. Okay.
The doctor gave mom and baby a clean bill of health, and they've gone home, while Dad gets to join his unit in the field at Grafenwehr. Reporting from Frankfurt, Germany, Sergeant Kelly Rowe, AFN News.
Okay, would you walk as if you are very happy?
There's much more to learning than ABC and 1, 2, 3. Just ask the kids at Frankfurt's Atterbury Elementary School. After their enrichment day, they can certainly tell you that.
We're doing lots of things, like we're doing lots of things that might help us in the future. We need to learn it because it's just as important as doing math and science as it is doing other things, so you don't just know math and science, you know how to do other things too.
Over 30 artists and performing groups from across Germany shared their special interests and talents with the children.
Well, I believe that it's very important that the kids see real people playing, well, showing that they are able to do these things. These are different skills that they might not ever learn about. Kids that have been here today are very interested in the world, and they can see that learning is fun. Learning can be fun.
The goal of Enrichment Day is letting the students experience the talents and professions of others so they might have a better appreciation for what's outside the school walls. At the same time, they had a lot of fun.
I've been doing work.
For AFN News, I'm Army Sergeant Steve Malnar.
The SSgt Regional Golf Tournament wrapped up its second round today at the Woodland Golf, which landed at the airport last night. Reuters reports UN troops requested airstrikes, and a NATO aircraft locked onto a Serb tank firing at the UN-run airport. UN superiors, however, denied the request. Meanwhile, the head of the World Food Program was in Frankfurt, Germany this morning, visiting the men and women who make the airdrops over the former Yugoslavia possible. Army Sergeant Kelly Rowe caught up with her and has this report.
Terrible conflict.
Catherine Bertini, the executive director of the World Food Program, stopped by Rhein-Main Air Base to thank the men and women who make the nightly airdrops over the former Yugoslavia possible. The WFP has received donations of $329 million from countries around the world to aid the victims of war in the region, and they're going to be around a while.
We've just made a commitment to an additional 9 months of food assistance in former Yugoslavia, and that will, we hope to raise as much as $150 million more dollars of food for that purpose. So at this point we expect the operation to continue.
So far, over 17,000 metric tons of food have been airdropped to the people living in central and eastern Bosnia. Reporting from Rhein-Main Air Base, Germany, Sergeant Kelly Rowe, AFN News.
We continue with more news from the Balkans. General Joulwan stopped by the Rose Rifle Range to see Berlin Brigade soldiers in action, as we hear in this report from Army Sergeant Rich Green.
Berlin's squad firing bays are some of the best in the world, and the men firing on those bays were under the eye of the top military man in Europe. General George Joulwan, the Supreme Allied Commander of Europe, saw firsthand what realistic training means these soldiers have to use.
I want to congratulate you on some very realistic training. You know, it took me back over 30 years ago when this was the really fundamental part of the action of how do we train infantry on the ground to do exactly what you're doing. Tough, realistic training, put you under stress, and that's our business. So how do you react? Not when everything's going right, but when you run out of ammo, when your gun jams, where's your barrel? What are you trying to do? That is the stress of combat. That is very, very difficult. to capture. The innovativeness of what you're doing, the imagination that goes into trying to get through at the very basic level of the team and the squad is absolutely essential for what our business is.
After discussing the live fire with the squad members of Berlin's 5th Battalion 502nd Infantry, General Joulwan asked them questions about different scenarios they might encounter in a real battle situation. As he re-enlisted one of the squad members, the general stressed that a well-trained soldier is one of the keys to victory on the battlefield. And training on a live fire bay like the ones in Berlin only improve a soldier's performance. Army Sergeant Rich Green, AFN Berlin.
All of Europe is gearing up for this summer's D-Day anniversary. Many of the commemorative events will take place in England, the country where the invasion force sailed from. Air Force Sergeant Rick Sarchet visited a former World War II fighter base and spoke with some locals who remember the invasion well.
50 years ago, these planes flew to preserve a way of life. Today they fly to preserve memories. Duxford Airfield was a Royal Air Force fighter base until 1943. Then the 78th Fighter Group of the U.S. Air Force moved to Duxford. They flew from here until the end of the war.
During the D-Day itself, they had no less than 89 P-47 Thunderbolts ready for action flying from this field itself.
Now Duxford Airfield hosts part of the Imperial War Museum. On D-Day Remembrance Day, the static displays drew few spectators. The big attraction was the aerial demonstration. They watched a B-25 on a bombing run, while two fighters provided protection, as they did 50 years ago.
A lot of men and women died. Civilians and military personnel died during that conflict, and it's important we don't forget that.
This was only one of more than 500 events taking place throughout England this year to remember D-Day. Sergeant Rick Sarchet, Air Force News, Duxford, the United Kingdom.